Item: SCP-337. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures: SCP-337 is to be kept within a steel-reinforced 0.5 meters thick polished cement containment chamber at all times. Chamber walls must be inspected weekly for cracks and resealed as needed. Access will only be available via two-stage vaulted steel door system with a seal tolerance not to exceed 100 meters. Antechamber between the doors is to be fitted with multiple remote-operated liquid propellant flamethrowers. Both chambers are to be externally monitored with wireless security cameras. Damage or repositioning of cameras should be reported immediately. A self-contained water recycling shower system will be positioned at the far end of the internal chamber. The system's water supply and filters are to be changed on a monthly basis. Personnel assigned to SCP-337 must maintain all head and body hair at no longer than 4 centimeters, and will submit to regular full-body inspection to ensure compliance. Any personnel entering the chamber must be escorted by 2 guards armed with portable flamethrowers. Following Incident 337-A, Class D personnel involved in testing must be strapped into a restraining gurney and sedated prior to entry. Once per week, 1 Class D personnel will be stripped of hair measuring longer than 5 centimeters using the Solomon technique. An attendant must immediately deliver the hair into the chamber and permit the object to feed. During this time, the attendant will sweep the floor clean of shedding using a standard broom and dustpan. Following Incident 337-C, vacuum cleaners are not permitted for use within 15 meters of SCP-337 containment unless specifically authorized. Description: SCP-337 is a large conglomeration of human hair weighing approximately 60 kilograms at last measure. The object's shape and dimensions are tremendously variable. SCP-337 is fully animate, capable of a wide range of locomotion, and can exert force in excess of 18 kN. It also seems to possess some level of sentience, although attempts at communication have thus far met with limited success. See Incident 337-B. The object is able to manipulate any hair directly connected to its central mass, with precision down to the individual strand. The method by which SCP-337 mobilizes its components is still under investigation. Analysis of filaments attached to the object has shown them to be identical to regular human hair, and strands that are periodically shed from the object are similarly normal, aside from being drained of pigmentation. Filaments display typical tensile strength and can be easily damaged by fire, blades, or consumer-grade chemical clog remover. Although it displays no obvious sensory organs, SCP-337 is highly aware of its surroundings, and may even possess perceptive abilities exceeding those of humans. For the most part, these senses are tuned toward detecting and acquiring its principal form of sustenance: fresh, human hair. When a human being with any hair measuring longer than 5 centimeters comes within approximately 30 meters of SCP-337, it enters what could be described as a predatory state, rapidly braiding together several dense tendrils of hair in the direction of its prey. The object's range of perception seems to be unhindered by the walls of its containment chamber. The object will then close in on its target at great speed, attempting to overtake and envelop it. When successful, SCP-337 restrains the subject's limbs and begins to harvest all hair of sufficient length from the body. Hair is painlessly removed from the dermis at the base, root included, and is immediately incorporated into the object's mass via knotting or weaving. Patterns of bruising, bleeding, and sebaceous eruption on subjects following feedings suggest follicles are partially loosened from the inner sheath prior to extraction. This appears to sometimes accelerate hair regrowth even in regions where it is typically stunted. To date, researchers have failed to replicate this effect artificially. While SCP-337 was found in a filthy state at time of recovery, see addendum, it has since demonstrated a preference for cleanliness. Not long after initial containment, the object managed to escape its temporary enclosure through a narrow, 2 cm diameter, wiring duct. It was discovered on site several hours later in the 4th floor women's washroom, where it emerged from a drain and consumed the hair of 2 showering researchers. A security team arrived shortly thereafter to find SCP-337 under a running shower tap, lathering itself with shampoo left behind by the women. Once containment was re-established, SCP-337's enclosure was fitted with its present bathing accommodations and a supply of hair conditioning product. The object's rate of shedding has since decreased dramatically.